Hello and welcome to the Dead Journey podcast. My name's Sean, and joining me as always is the one and only Dante Boffa. Mr. Boffa, man, how are we?
I'm incredible, Sean. Drinking a non-alcoholic Heineken for the first time on a sunny afternoon with you. What could be better?
Probably a fully alcohol Heineken, but we've got things to do after this.
We don't here at the DTMBA podcast. We don't drink alcohol. So,
well, I had to review this beer. That's a story for a different podcast. But I had to review this beer, and it's called Athletic Brewing. It's a non-alcoholic beer, and their whole thing is like, not only do you have non-alcoholic beer where you can go for a drive afterwards, but this is non-alcoholic beer that you can have as a refreshment. And their whole advertising campaign was like, marathon runners coming back, cracking a can. Canoers getting off the boat, cracking a can. And it's good for you, and it's got electrolytes. And it actually tasted really good, but I would never have it just to like...
I just feel like the people that are making that beer have never had the joy of like being at a footy game and drinking beers pre-game and at halftime and post-game. Because there's something beautiful about knowing that you're drinking something alcoholic and you're about to go, back out and kick the Sharon around. If I knew that there was no alcohol in it, I'm like, oh, well, I'm effectively just drinking Powerade. Powerade's great; it has its place, but it's nothing like, say, like a tin of Emu Export at halftime.
Did you live in Perth for a bit, Dante?
Yeah, allegedly.
See, that's why you should play the great game of cricket, and you can drink on the field.
Drink on the field.
Yeah, I used to play seniors with these blokes that would smoke darts on the field.
When I was little, when that cricket would be on, whatever, and they'd be like, all right, and we're like about to go to tea. I thought that they were like, having like a little tea party in the room. Yeah. Everyone comes in and gets like a little cup of black tea, like a little, maybe like a scone with some jam and some cream.
I couldn't think, if it's a 35-degree day and you're playing cricket in the height of summer, I couldn't think of anything worse than a hot tea and a scone.
Yeah, hot tea and a scone with some cream that's been sitting in the visitors' changing room.
It's like a real rank roasted capsicum dip where you've just got this sediment on the top.
Yeah. You've been hurt by...
I've been hurt an hour and 20 minutes ago.
Oh no!
Yeah,
my goodness.
I know. Because I was out of hummus, so I went to the backup dip, and I will now be donating it to whoever wants it. I thought I liked it, man, but it's filth. Roasted capsicum dip, filth. Well, now that that's out of the way,
should we talk some ball?
Let's talk some basketball, bro. Great time to be one. Great time to be a basketball. Some beautiful games have been going on, especially today. Obviously, my Golden State Warriors got up in a convincing win where Steph Curry didn't even need to finish the game. Did you know, we will get to the news first, but did you know that Jonathan Kuminga played a G League game and an NBA game on the same day in the same stadium? Wow. Literally the exact same.
Well, that's not
stadium.
Quite as impressive as back in the day that that dude who played for Minnesota called him up and he played for the New Jersey G League affiliate at 4 p.m. and then they're like, hey, can you get on a plane and get to Minnesota by 9 o'clock when the game tipped off?
Is this back in the day 2001 or not?
No, this is probably 2011, 2012.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember that the player who has the all-time record for most played games in a season is 84, and he played one game, I think it was Detroit, and then he got traded to New York, and then so he did a back-to-back, traded to New York, played the next 2 days on a back-to-back, so he did 4 straight games.
I feel like I remember Shannon Brown playing maybe playing 83, 84
for the Shanghai Tigers.
No, it's got to be the Guangdong Sharks. So I don't want to hear about it. All right, let's actually get into the news today. So we're gonna hit it off with a piece of news coming from Michael Holley of NBC Sports Boston, which is a report that the Celtics, after just 7 games, have had a team meeting to discuss, among other things, their ignominious start, but also Marcus Smart's comments to the media basically saying that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are ball hogs at the end of the game. For a team with pretty reasonable expectations of being pretty good, obviously this is a pretty bad start, 2-5, obviously not irreversible, but team meeting after 7 games. That's pretty cooked.
Yeah. And like, if this was any other team that came in and had this team meeting, if this was any other instance where your boss just hadn't mysteriously quit, your coach hadn't taken his job after saying he like fell out of love with the game, if there hadn't been these chemistry issues beforehand with Kyrie Irving, if there hadn't been all this weird stuff and Al Horford kicking and screaming when he left Boston and just some real icky stuff, if none of that had happened, you would be like, oh, well, that's a little bit weird. But because they have this history of just really weird chemistry issues, it's like, what's going on? And as with most of these chemistry issues, how do you fix them? Because
and I mean, it is. I think they'll figure it out on a player's level because the core of this team has been together for forever. And even though Al Horford's kind of like gone and come back, like he still knows Marcus Smart and the Jays and all of those kind of like young players like the Grant Williams of the world, the Robert Williams. They all know each other. But it's pretty whack having a first-time head coach who's seven games in. There's like a team meeting.
Yeah.
And the first-time head coach's boss, the guy who hired him, is the old coach.
Yeah.
Like, what role does Brad Stevens have in this? Is Brad Stevens saying to Ime Udoka, like, you figure it out, like, or is he kind of stepping in and saying, like...
Well, the quote that you mentioned there from Mike Hawley of NBC, the quote from Brad Stevens where he was addressing this players-only meeting was, quote, "We're going to find out if we have the right mix of players," unquote. And then he goes on to say some stuff about how the team's really nice and they know what they're doing and everyone will figure stuff out. Exactly what you just said. You should work in PR. But like, he's saying that, and like maybe you say that if you're email and you say, "Hey, we're going to figure this out." Don't smile after I say that. But because you're the GM, like as soon as you say, "Oh, have we got the right players?" You're the dude who makes the decision.
Everyone would be on edge. Now, you know, like the young players who are thinking like, "Okay, can I, crack the rotation?" Or like, "Oh, damn, am I maybe going to be like shipped out as like salary?" Someone that's smart, who's the one making the comments at the end of the game, he said, of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they don't want to pass the ball, and that's something they're going to have to learn. They're still learning. Smart's obviously a team leader, and people might say, well, a lot of people would say that the reason why he hasn't been traded or seriously like bandied about in a trade is because he's like the heart and the soul of the team.
Yeah.
But his name has actually kind of been in trade conversations before because he's got one of those mid-sized salaries that package that with 2 young players and you can get to 25 million pretty easily, and bring someone else in. So, man, like it just kind of seems like there's a real weird morass, and it would be really hard to untangle who's making what decisions and who's saying what, where it's all coming from, and what it actually means in a functional sense. Because when you have Brad Stevens saying that, it's like, oh, okay, you probably figure that Horford having been just brought back, and Brad Stevens obviously loves him. He's probably not going anywhere. Tatum and Brown obviously not going anywhere, but everybody else.
Well, Smart just signed a 4-year deal, like 4 years, 88 or whatever it was. So he's probably pretty safe. Like it's hard to move 4 years worth of salary, even if he is really good. So like, yeah, who's like knocking or calling up saying, "I'd love Aaron Naismith, like your situation's ruined, kind of place to have him."
But I don't think that Smart having signed a new deal
makes him untradeable.
Yeah. I think there'd be a lot of teams that would give up the right piece for him.
The Warriors were definitely interested in him.
I'm
Kelly Oubre slot.
Yeah, I'm thinking Warriors. That was definitely something that was reported. I'm thinking like the Grizz, move 2 players from the Grizz to bring Marcus Smart in, and then you've got like roll out like Jar, DeAnthony Melton, Marcus Smart, and just like make everybody's life hell.
What if it's DeAnthony Melton and Tyus Jones? But no, let's not talk about that.
It just like it's weird vibes in Boston, and it's like Ime Udoka's coached 7 games.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's Pop or it's Rick Carlisle, and it's like we'll steady the ship before we've been on like bad 20-game runs, and I know how to like bring the locker room back or whatever. It's like, dude's literally never done it. He's never done it. His boss is the old coach, and you just have to imagine that Brad Stevens has an opinion on how to do this, having been in this exact position for the last like 7 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You just have to imagine that he's not sitting there being like, "Ime, like you figure it out." Like the relationship would probably be a bit more involved than that, and that is like, that's messy when everyone's getting paid millions and millions of dollars, and someone's saying like, "This is how you should do it." It's like, don't, like, you do your job, I'll do my job, but like one guy hired the other guy, and it just, I mean, you back them in because it's a really talented team, and I think we were both pretty optimistic that they could be quite good. So they'll probably figure it out. Maybe we should talk about the on-court products because there's a reason why they're 2-5. And I think one of the big reasons is because Jason Tatum just has not been particularly good. He is really struggling offensively, averaging 24 a game, good, shooting 38 from the field, bad, and 26 from 3. And he just, there's a reason why last week, I can't remember who I was talking about, but I coined Jason Tatum disease, which is where you just never get to the free throw line.
Yeah.
Dude's living in the mid-range.
Yeah.
He's not finishing at the rim. His rim finishing numbers are under 50%, which is like terrible for someone who's 6'9".
Yeah.
He's not getting to the free throw line. He's shooting too many mid-range jumpers, and he's not making them.
Yeah.
And they need him to be better.
Yeah. I reckon it's just something to keep a tab on for now, because obviously it is still very young in the season. But look, this Boston team was the team that was going to be the next best team forever after that Brooklyn trade, and like now all these future assets have become a Kyrie Irving to then be not a Kyrie Irving, and then have now become Romeo Langford, Aaron Naismith, and obviously the 2 J's. But this is it. Like there's nothing else coming down the pipeline. This core has to win a championship, otherwise you're in a similar situation. Yeah,
this really is it. Like a couple of years ago, it would have seemed like impossible that there'd be an end to the asset fountain. But here we are. This is it, and you'd feel pretty good about it if you had like 2 all-stars, one of whom on his day is like a genuine like top 15 type player. You feel pretty good about making a run of it. But I mean, like here we are, and they weren't good last season for reasons that had a lot to do with off the court stuff outside their control. So whatever, turn a new page. But if they're not good this season, then it kind of gets to like, damn, like they had the richest asset pool that probably any team's ever had. And hopefully this is not
this isn't it.
Yeah, hopefully this isn't it.
Two like over the top Eastern Conference Finals runs. But it's probably like important to note for other teams out there who have a lot of assets and think that they've got the next best thing for the next decade, like my friend David Griffin. Let's move on to the next piece of news, which is that Damian Lillard thought about leaving Portland for 2 months in the off-season. This timeline coming from Chris Haynes of Yahoo Sports was around the time of the Olympics, before and after. So Dame thought about requesting a trade for the whole time that everyone thought he was going to request a trade. If you think back, we talked about this on the pod, but it was actually Henry Abbott of True Hoop who reported just like after game 1 of the Olympics, or maybe one of the warm-up games, he was like, Damian Lillard will request a trade tomorrow. Dame came out and was like, no, that's not true. And he started really just going at Henry Abbott's character. Well, now we can look back in retrospect and say Henry Abbott was absolutely correct, because at around the time that Henry Abbott's sources were saying that he's requesting a trade, Damian Lillard actually met up with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who don't play for the Portland Trailblazers. And I love the way this is worded. So obviously he was speaking with Chris Haynes, a good friend of him, and then as he was saying that they went out for dinner and then blah, he said, we didn't talk about game plans at all, and he called it a, quote, information gathering forum upon respected peers. It wasn't a meeting, and it wasn't illegal. So I don't know, where are we going after this? We're going for an information gathering forum among respected peers to play soccer. So yeah, Damian Lillard did request a trade, and then he mentioned when he was talking to Chris Haynes that some players of his caliber have requested trades, and then a year from there, all of a sudden, I'll just say he's alluding to Russell Westbrook. This guy's gotten out of a situation and then it's not actually that greener on the other side, and has ended up being traded, say, against his will, but like he didn't intend to go to the Lakers at the very first place. Russell didn't. So Dame's like, I'd much rather just stick it out, because look, you look at other guys that get traded and they don't end up winning a title anyway. So I may as well stay here and do the thing that I believe is right, which is staying in Portland and keep building, because he eventually wants to be the guy that wins a title for his team, and I wish him the best of luck.
That's a really wonderful outlook to have, and it's really lovely, and I think it's what a lot of fans would say, like, will garner, increase their respect for a player like that. But he's going to have to come to terms with come really stare in the mirror of the fact that he's not winning a championship in Portland. It's not happening, because the Trailblazers have proven to not be like an optimum roster building factory. His teammates who have at times flashed, like superstar potential, I'm talking like CJ, I'm talking pre-injury Nurk, are obviously not going to get up to those heights again. And no big star is coming to Portland to join him.
Yeah.
No one is coming to Portland to join him. He's going to have to go somewhere else. So I think, it's wonderful that he wants to stay in Portland, but he might have to, kind of sit there and really look at the two. I'm sure he already has look at the two options, but I don't think that it's realistic that he's going to win a ring in Portland.
Yeah,
maybe he stays in Portland the whole career and is like he becomes like the best player to never win a ring.
Yeah, and all of a sudden he's on a Bleacher Report list 5 years from now. Awesome. But yeah, look, I completely agree. There's nothing else we can say about this topic apart from he's completely off the trading block. We can stop talking about that. Let's move on to whoever the second domino is to fall. Yeah, I reckon he is, because unless it comes from Portland, but if you're Portland and you're just printing money, like Dame has had the perfect opportunity to get traded last off season. He's even said that he's thought about it, but wants to stay.
I still just think what happens with the Simmons situation halfway... I shouldn't have said it. Bleep me. What happens with the number 25 situation halfway through the season if Philly comes and... Portland's not doing well. Portland's 18 and, or... Portland's like...
They're not doing well.
Portland's like 14 and 26 halfway through the season, and Philly comes and says, we'll give you this, this, and this, and Portland says, look, that's actually a pretty good offer. Dame... We're probably not going to make the playoffs this year. Do you want to go? Like, we'll just give you the out.
But that's coming from owner. That's coming from the front office.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I mean, Portland, I think you're right that they would be prepared just to keep printing money and,
just keep smacking their head against
sell the jerseys and be firmly on the treadmill of something maybe slightly better than mediocrity. But
well, let's do a. So I'm going to borrow this from Nate Duncan and Jane LaRue, a Watfo, which is what are the effing odds? Whisper around the pod. I don't know why I had to bleep that myself. But what would you say is the percentage odds that Damian Lillard is traded this year?
I would say 25%.
See, I would say 2%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. This season?
This trade deadline.
Okay. I was going to say, I realised that there's only 35 days left in the year when I said that. We're talking February, March.
Yeah.
I'd say 25% because I still think that the Philly situation is such a variable that no one really knows. It could be nothing, but it could be everything.
Yeah.
And obviously there's been heaps of links between Philly and Portland with regards to this Dame trade.
Yep.
So I think that still being out there as a looming possibility is enough for me to say 25.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm very much under 5%. Let's move on to the next piece of news coming from Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated that the NBA players, a cohort of NBA players, are struggling with the new Wilson ball. He likens this to when they tried to change the Spalding ball to a synthetic ball as opposed to actual leather in 2007 or something, and that was just changed mid-season. Wilson said that they are trying to make the ball as most like the Spalding ball as possible. It's literally just the name that's different. And then a few players came out and said they don't like it. Obviously, plenty of players aren't shooting very well. Paul George, who is handling the ball better than ever and probably the best player in the whole entire world right now in terms of scoring, says that, it's a little bit different, blah, blah, which I'm like, let's not point to the dude who's shooting even better. Let's maybe point to some of the guys who aren't shooting as well. What do you reckon about this, Dante?
I reckon just give them a Molten and be done with it. just airmail them a couple thousand Moltens and say, all right, boys, you will never need anything else ever again.
Yeah,
Here you go.
Just give them my KD brand ball outside.
No. Come on. Molten, I feel like is the optimal engineered basketball.
I've never actually shot a Spalding.
Yeah, I have
used Molten.
I've shot Spaldings before, proper, not obviously an NBA Spalding, but a good quality Spalding, and it doesn't compare to a Molten.
Yeah.
You rock up at the local basketball stadium. Those first couple bounces with the Molten on the hard. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, this is all just playing around until we can eventually get Moltens in the NBA.
I remember reading something about the last time when they tried to change it to the synthetic ball. And that players were saying that their hands were like bleeding, like they do like a big like shooting session, and by the end of it, their hands are like in pain and bleeding. Yeah. Personally, I think that it's probably the last reason why there's like lots of issues with shooting and
maybe
stuff.
The fouls and.
I mean, like there's plenty of other reasons. Like these are guys who like you rock up at like Rucker Park and you drop 80 points, or you go into like the J Crawl League, and you're not playing with the same ball every time. Like there's a dude who go to like pro-ams, they like meet up and play together. It's not like everybody's bringing a
Spalding,
an NBA game ready Spalding. Like Devin Booker is rocking up and playing against like Cat and Embiid and in the summer, and they're playing with whatever, and no one is being like, oh, like I shot poorly because of the ball. Like it's like, so I think that it's just a collective. Maybe they're a little bit embarrassed and they're looking for something to hide behind. It is okay to say that Jason Tatum is shooting 38% because he's shooting 38%.
Yeah.
I don't know what Booker's shooting, but it can't be much better than 38%.
Well, CJ McCollum, the NBA Players Association president, who, as with every start of the season, starts off with something completely new in his bag and is absolutely killing it, says, quote, that everyone's still adjusting, and end quote, start another quote, he will get feedback from players, unquote. So nothing's going to happen. This is just the way it is. Get used to it. Should we move on to the final piece of news? That's the thing without doing it on Zoom, I can't cough and get rid of it. So coming from William Guillory of The Athletic, Zion Williamson is still 2 to 3 weeks away from fully practicing. Just for a bit of a timeline lineup, Big Jim, James Wiseman, has just begun fully practicing on 5v5s, and he's expected to come back about a month from now. So if Zion does come back to play in an NBA game 2 to 3 weeks after those 2 to 3 weeks, it will be 4 months since he injured himself, and I say injured with inverted commas because apparently the front office didn't know that it happened, and then obviously he had foot surgery. So this is getting from bad to worse.
This is another dude who I know it's not a knee like we talked about with Jokic last week, but this is another dude who it's like you just can't believe anything that gets said.
Yeah.
It's like there's timelines, it's non-serious, it's not a tear, it's not a break, whatever. I don't fucking believe it because he's not coming back and let's do, what was that acronym that you said before, that WOFO?
Oh, WOTFO.
WOTFO. Yeah. I put the odds on him playing in 2 to 3 weeks at 0%. I'm 100% certain that by the end of November, he will not be playing.
What about Christmas?
Well, I mean, Christmas is like, well, what are we really doing here? Like, if it's Christmas and this dude has officially missed what it would be like 2/3 of the games if he sits out half a season, it'd be like 2/3 of the possible games he's ever played. Like, what are we doing here? How are we going to have this dude in the same regard? How are we going to hold this dude in as high regard as we have on two fronts? You're a professional athlete. You're getting paid $15 million a year. Fucking figure it out. It annoys me because how old is he? He's probably like 21.
Yeah.
I'm 23. You're 23. So we're not that much older than him, and we're sensible people who would figure this shit out. Like, you've got a job to do it. Don't just fuck around.
It's taking a turn for the worse.
Get your body in line. Like, he's fat. And then second, like, how are we gonna say like this guy's one of like the brightest young stars and like he's gonna decline the qualifying offer and he's like gonna go to New York or whatever if he's only gonna play like 1/3 of his games?
Well, New York have done that before with Amari Stoudemire.
Yeah, but at least Amari Stoudemire had like 7 All-NBA appearances before, All-NBA awards before he signed there. Like, I don't know. Show me the dude that has had really severe issues, the big man like that he and hasn't worked hard to correct it with their body as a young player, and that's worked out. It doesn't really happen. Someone like Embiid worked so hard and like straight and narrow. He literally just rehabbed for 2 straight years so he can get back on the court. It's really giving me the ick. Give me the ick. Even his name, Zion. So silly. Get out of here.
So one thing I wanted to mention with this, which I don't know if I've got a completely fully formed point here, but
that's my favorite. That's my favorite.
But if you remember back when Zion came back from injury and at the end of his rookie season, he said that he really didn't like the way that the team treated his injury, and they pretty much just put bubble wrap around him and said, don't play until you're extra sure. So for him to get an injury and surgery, not tell the team, it's a surgery that takes 4 months, and we're only learning it like. We didn't get a 4 year timeline. No, 4 month. We didn't get a 4 month timeline when it happened. We're just getting drip fed weeks. Zion's not starting the season. Zion's not ready week 2. It's 2 to 3 weeks, blah, blah, blah. So, like, it's just really strange that he didn't like the way his team treated his initial lower body injury, and now he's had another one and he hasn't told the team, and it's not like he's coming back faster. He's still recovering from a surgery.
It's just like, I get that you want to play, and I think there's probably pretty good reason to suspect that New Orleans didn't manage his injury the first time around as well as they could have. But if this is him doing it his way, not telling the team, getting a surgery that they don't know about, from an injury that they don't know about, and then like you're looking at him and he's big. He's always big, but it looks like he's bigger. If this is him doing it his way, like, well, cool. The team's like 1-8,
yeah,
and he's gonna come back. Let's say he comes back in mid-December, and because he's big, he's got to spend 6 weeks playing his way into shape. By the time that he's actually ready to go and the team can do anything, the team can make any reasonable impression of what this team is going to look like going forward. It's already February. Like, it just, I don't know. I hate to be the grouchy old man, but figure this shit out, bro. Like, you want to get your second opinion? Get the second opinion. Tell the team you're getting the second opinion. Include the team in the medical decision that the second opinion is making for you. Not just like, ad lib and like, I don't know. It's giving me the ick, like you know the ick when it just happens and you're not expecting it, but once it happens, you're like, oh, like that's deal breaker for me. I can't see past this. This is what is happening in real time. Welcome to my inner monologue stream of consciousness.
The depth, the deep two. God, that's a mouthful. Anyways, I'm Marco, co-host of the Hey, Daniel Gafford, what's the name of our podcast?
The JVG NBA Tribute Show.
Wow, I can't believe it's that easy. Thanks, Gaff. You probably know us as two members of the Four Man Weave plus Marco, but we know you as our next listener.
Well said, Lucas. I gotta ask, how do we differ from the Pack of Basketball podcast?
All right.
That's a great question, Marco.
That's it for the news.
See,
Let's move on to what we're seeing this week,
we have
because
two
there
male
are basketball
co-hosts.
games on.
Wow.
There are some
Truly
great
groundbreaking.
basketball games on.
After this episode,
and I'll
stay on your
kick us
favourite
off. So
podcasting app and give
the
us
yet to be named section. Well, you were happy with the name there, weren't you?
Well, I actually did. I really liked the name because
What was it?
we did it last year. Did what's good, what's not.
Oh, did we do that last year?
We did it last year.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Well, what's good? What's not?
No. It's fundamentally altered.
We'll trademark it.
Yeah.
So what's good to me also happens to be what's not good, and that's Alperen Şengün. I've gone with the
nailed it. That was literally wow. The Johnny B days are a thing of the past. That was incredible.
I will. I'll say Sengun later, just as I'm talking. But yeah, so LP, as they call him in Houston, has been playing like.
Do they actually call him that?
Yeah, they call him Big LP.
Wow, I feel like it's a missed opportunity to call him Big Al.
Yeah, but I feel like.
I can't wait for the February 26th matchup between Big Jim and Big Al.
No, but that's not that. You can't call him Big L, man. That's like calling Kawhi Leonard like Iceman or something. Like calling him Magic Curry. It's like, that's already been done. Find a new nickname.
Magic Curry.
You know what I mean? Like, you just can't get news like, oh, here comes the mailman. It's like, no, that's George's name.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Okay, so
is Al Jefferson like
Al Jefferson's Big L.
No, but is he a big enough Big Al?
Yeah.
That the nickname's done. Obviously, the mailman is Karl Malone. He's fucking second all time in scoring. You can't obviously just put that on someone else. But Al Jefferson, did he ever make an All-Star team?
Yeah, with that Charlotte team, remember?
Okay, so he's got
Bobcats.
one All-Star appearance. Probably averaged 15 points a game for his career. Is he big enough of a presence?
13-14 All-NBA, not All-Star.
There you go. That's
you'd rather
that's
that.
rogue.
I mean, he's clearly not getting He's clearly not getting all-star votes. Can I just say, Big L isn't listed as a Basketball Reference nickname, and we know that Basketball Reference are fucking cheeky S-words to chuck a nickname on there. Do you want to know what his one listed nickname is?
I don't know where this is going. Tell me.
It's the Big Classic.
The Big Classic. The Big Aristotle versus the Big Classic. Let's have it. All right, and that's enough of a digression.
Right,
Talk to me about Alpi.
He just looks good, but he's averaging 3 turnovers, right? He looks good, and I like the fact that Stephen Silas is trusting him enough to start him next to Christian Wood, and it's like you've got plenty of these other options. You've got KJ Martin, who would be great down there. You've got all these dudes who you would rather play next to Christian Wood, but he's actually starting 2 centers, which is wrong, but he's doing it because he likes what they do. And on offense, it looks fine and it looks good. On defense, yes, there's questions, but you've got a European rookie big. There's always going to be defensive questions no matter where you put him. And I just like how good he is. Like he sits at the top of the 3-point line, or maybe he distributes from the post, and he's very patient. You often see a lot of these dudes who are like the next Jokic come in and then bang bang bang, too many quick passes, but he just lets the game come to him. Wow, it's a couple of cliches I've just rolled off. But he literally sits there, will assess the whole entire court with his stupid-looking head with no chin, and then just fling a nice pass, which probably doesn't lead to an assist. And he's a bit like Nemanja Bjelica coming off the bench, right? Where Belly comes in and he's playing against worse players than him, and he just outclasses them. This is like Şengün's ceiling, but maybe against the starters, and it hasn't been working too well at the moment. And there is an issue where I think he's in the top 5 in the league in terms of steals at 2.5 a game, and you know all too well about that because he's on my fantasy team and I'm playing you this week. But for those,
I'm not going for steals.
for those 60 possessions that he's guarding, and he gets a steal and 2.5 of them. All those other possessions are just blow-bys. It's not working. Yeah. But I'm liking that.
That's very Jokic, because Jokic gets a lot of steals as well. He's got quick hands. He's always stripping. He's always jumping the passing lane. But when he's not,
Jokic has gotten better as a rim protector.
Yeah, definitely. But Jokic does have those hands to kind of get some good steal numbers. But yes, a lot of the time when he was younger, if it wasn't a steal, yeah, you're right, it was a blow-by.
I just like Şengün, yeah, his ceiling's Jokic, I guess. That's what he was called when he was coming in. But I was like the fact that the coach trusts him. The coach doesn't even trust Usman Garuba right now. He's getting DNP CDs off the bench. So I like the fact that the coach trusts him. He's starting games. He's making mistakes. And if his worst case scenario is where he's at right now, which is quite a good backup center, then that's nice. But I really want to see where he goes.
I haven't watched any Rockets this year. How is he athletically?
Not very, but neither's Jokic.
Yeah, but I mean, Jokic is
neither's Belly. Let me just say, because you're never going to get anyone as good as Jokic. Yeah. So just imagine Nemanja Bjelica. Maybe you can get a little bit faster.
Yeah. Okay.
And spend so much time at the top of the 3-point line. It's nice.
Yeah.
And just he gets the ball.
Passing vision.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
What's your point? What have you seen?
So I'm talking about Indiana, who I have been on the train for throughout the preseason and the early season. Things are not going so well. They're 3-6. They did have a good win at home against the Knicks today, where they led wire to wire. So that's a good win.
Just rattled off 12 to 0 run at the start of the game, and Tibbs just lost even more hair. It was amazing.
He's got to be losing something else at this point. He doesn't know, or maybe he's losing hair from someone we can't see because he doesn't have much on top. Basically, I want to preach patience with this Indiana team. That I think that it'll come together, and I think that there's a run coming from them soon. Brogdon has been surprise. Brogdon through the first 10 games has been really good. He's putting out 23, 7 and 7. He has missed a couple games due injury, so he has not been available as a healthy dose of TJ McConnell, which is not always.
It's actually not healthy.
Yeah, it's actually it's unhealthy. Levert missed the first half of they've played 9 games. I think Levert's played 3. He's played 2. There you go. So Warren still hasn't played, which at this point is another one where it's sick. Well, he'll be
maybe basketball's not for you.
He'll be reevaluated in another 3 weeks. Well, I don't think I've seen TJ Warren play since he was dropping 70 in the bubble. Yeah, so what the fuck is going on? And then Turner and Sabonis are both putting up really good numbers, but they're incapable of having a good game at the same time. It's like one of them or the other. Sabonis will have 28 and 15, and then the next game he'll have 5 and 4, and then the next game, that game Turner will have like 28 and 15, and it's fucking hell, like get it together. Yeah. That sounds like a lot of negativity. But let me bring it back around. Brogdon, obviously we know Brogdon is really good. If he can stay healthy, LeVert has some rust to knock off. He's not shooting particularly well, but I still really, really believe that LeVert is going to be really, really good this season. You hope that the play from Turner and Sabonis levels out. Like, it can't get much more uneven than it currently is. It's pretty much about as rocky as it gets. And I think that they're able to weather the Warren absence reasonably well, because between Justin Holiday, Torrey Craig, and rookie Chris Duarte, who's played really well so far, they've got 3 really good like wings with decent size and some, like some pretty overlapping skill sets, but also some complementary skill sets. When they get Warren back, God knows when that's going to be. I think that there's a big run coming for this team once they kind of like figure it out, because there's low-key been a lot of change for this organization, going from terrible coach who's fired, bringing in a new coach with a new way of doing things, kind of getting LeVert worked into the system as oftentimes a primary ball handler. He's probably not handling it more than Brogdon, but it's in his hands a lot, and they're saying go and create for us. So I think that Indy, there's don't write them off just yet.
I completely agree with you. But one thing I've noticed from that team is, like, obviously no Karis LeVert from the start of the season. It's just been Chris Duarte, and like, how he was pegged as the guy who's NBA ready, and like I imagine him being NBA ready was like Torrey Craig, or at the best case Trevor Ariza. Like, that's the sort of guy he is. But because there's been no Karis LeVert, he's been the one with the ball in his hands, like creating for himself, because we saw that Rick Carlisle wants this offense to run through a guard outside into Sabonis. Chris Duarte taking 6.5 threes a game, hitting him 42% of them, taking 9 shots inside the paint. He's obviously got the Jason Tatum working, because he's only taking 1.6 free throws a game. But like, for a rookie to be heading an offense, yes, they're losing games, but he's the guy who the ball's been running through before Karis LeVert came back. 17.8 points, 2.5 assists, but like, rookie, and putting up numbers, doesn't matter how old you are, you're probably going to win the Rookie of the Year, the Rookie of the Year award if that's the case. And if Cade keeps going 0 for 9 from 3, it's only helpful.
So I think you're right on Duarte, and that's another reason why I have faith that they can like weather the storm on that wing slot. And Torrey Craig's been pretty good for them as well.
Torrey Craig's good everywhere.
Yeah, no, he really is. I'm sad to see him go. So don't jump off the Indiana train just yet. They'll level out, and obviously early season, you're a 5-game win streak away from being right back into it.
Early season, the bloody the Cavs are over 500.
Well, I mean, like, we were here last year.
Cavs are over 500.
And Cavs were 5 and 3. I'm not biting on that one this year. Well, to do something a little bit more than that, Cleveland, if you want me to watch one of your games.
Well, they're 5 and 4. I've watched a couple of their games, and both Larry Markkinen and Kevin Love have COVID. And I think it's awesome for their rotation, because now you've just got Dean Wade coming off the bench playing the 4.
Yeah, well, let's get less Larry Markkinen starting at the 3. Let's get less of that.
Yeah. It's so healthy for the team. And I just feel bad for Evan Mobley, because he's gotten into the starting power forward spot. He's had to fight with all these like power forwards who aren't as good as him, and now he's just got one more dude ahead of him, and that guy just got paid $100 million.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big story is Okoro, that he's not, what they're talking like 5th or 6th last year. And he's just completely kind of not really factoring into their plans.
Well, wasn't starting. The fact that
to the point where they're playing Markkinen at the 3 over Okoro,
over your defensive wing.
Yeah.
If anything, you should just sit there while the guard play their stuff. Also, Darius Garland, how I said I was really excited to see him this year?
Yeah.
He's having a great season.
Yeah. About time. Yeah. Colin Sexton,
former almost Phoenix Sun.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of those. There's a couple of those that we talked about today. Even Jalen Brown, looking at you. Phoenix did draft Dragon Bender instead of Jalen Brown once upon a time. That is something that will stick with me for a long time. All right, that's a depressing note. Should we move on to your next point?
My next point.
Hey, at 12 Danyang, do you like hearing the down low on all your NBA and basketball content?
Hey, at Will Conkin on Instagram and Twitter, don't you mean the lowdown on NBA and basketball content?
No, I mean the down low, because that's our show, The Down Low,
where we give you the lowdown on everything NBA.
Check out the Down Low NBA on all your podcasting platforms like Spotify, Apple, or even Google Podcasts.
Google has podcasts?
Yeah, I didn't even know that either, but now you know, so go and get it in your ears.
And I want to get this about the Denver Nuggets. And
Whoa.
I mentioned in the past 2 weeks that yes, they've had some issues with bench scoring, and this is Austin Rivers' last chance to stick in the league. He said it himself. In fact, can't believe he was actually still in the league. But anyway, there you are. And their bench unit, which it is a little bit on Michael Malone here for just playing a pure bench unit. Like, it's really hard to get away in any team with just bench players. But the fact that he was doing it with such a depleted bench, as soon as you take Monty Morris off it, all of a sudden they go from one of the most efficient benches to not one of the most efficient benches. And Will Barton, when he's clicking, he is a great player. But if he's not clicking, don't chuck him on the bench as that one go-to option on the bench, because he's not clicking that night. In their first game against Memphis, I think he had 5 points, and then today he was clicking. He had 26 points on 11 of 21. But the stat line doesn't do him that well. He made some nice shots. Don't look at me with those eyes. 7 assists.
It's a good game.
But on one thing that Michael Malone's really done, and I tweeted out this the other day, saying that Bones Highland is playing just like your 2K14 My Career did. Remember when you always got drafted?
Well, getting 30, 20, and 10.
Remember when you first started playing that My Career back in the day? You went undrafted, you pick your team, and then the coach will be like, all right, 2 minutes right there, go. And then you'll just get easy layup, pass to assist, plus C teammate grade, right?
Yeah.
So Busy did that in his first game. Busy Bones, of course. Did that in his first game, hit a really nice 3, and he's been doing all this stuff. And then today he comes in off the bench, and this is his first big chance to be the go-to scoring option, because I can't believe he actually wasn't even playing at the start of the year. I didn't actually think he was this NBA ready, but he's this NBA ready.
Whoa, is he Duarte NBA ready?
Bones Highland, I think he's 20 years old, but he played 21 minutes off the bench today, which is the most for any bench player. He scored 9 points, which is more than everyone on the bench combined. He was playing with Jokic, without Jokic. He was dribbling the ball, and he had this really mature moment where he's dribbling on a 2-on-2 fast break, dribble, and yes, no one would fault him if he just went up and went for the shot, and he'd actually made a couple of layups beforehand, and he was getting really chippy with Desmond Bain, so it's no one's going to blame him if he just goes up for it. And he dribbles out and sort of looks away to be all right, I'm just going to wait for the rest of the team to come down, and he saw that he was wide open and just flung a perfect pass to the other player that was cutting and just got a wide open layup. So finished the game with 9 and 3, and it's he is the only creator on the bench right now, because Campazzo is not doing it, and Campazzo is great when you have Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, but obviously you don't have Jamal Murray right now. And Michael Porter Jr., he had a good game today. He made a couple of layups, and he finished with 12 and 11 and 50% shooting, but still just the jump shot is not falling for him whatsoever. So a lot of pressure's on Busy Bones to be a 6th Man of the Year candidate right now. And I'm interested to see, as Michael Malone trusts him more and more, if he can actually do it, because he's the opportunity is 100% there. And in the past couple of games, when he's been given an opportunity, he's actually taken it, and he's done a good job. So now it's just a matter of repeatability, and I'm really excited to see if he can do that. Emmanuel Quickley rookie season sort of that sort of production. Yeah,
which is definitely attainable, but man, I don't feel that's really a solution, because he's he's a 26 pick. He'll come in and he'll look really good, like you're saying. But if he hits the rookie wall at any point, which it's not this thing that every rookie hits, the mythical rookie wall. But a lot of rookies, especially the ones who are playing
26 pick,
who later picks, and their role isn't as it's not like the Pistons with Cade, and they're saying everything is about you. You have to fit into a winning formula. If that 9 and 3 in 21 minutes, on good efficiency goes down to 6 and 2, and he's shooting 35% from the field, and he's turning the ball over, then it's damn, that is not a solution. In fact, it's just adding to the problem because you've already got in Rivers and in Campazzo, you've got guys who can give you 6 and 2. You know, you've got that. You've got that in spades. So I feel like relying on a rookie like that is it's risky.
Yeah, you're not gonna. No one's gonna get fired for a non-Jamal Murray season.
Yeah, it's a free hit,
and you're not gonna. They're not gonna trade for Jeremy Lamb. Like it is a free hit. And if it works, that's great. But if it doesn't work, it's like Denver's probably in the play-in because as soon as Jokic sits, that's just bad.
You still want to be good though. Like it's a free hit. It doesn't matter. No one's getting fired. We've talked about it before. Everyone is locked up on long-term contracts, so they're all going to be there for the next 2-3 years. But you still want to be good. You don't want to be 41 or 41. You want to be pushing for 50 wins.
And they should with the MVP because when Jokic is out there, like they absolutely kick the shit out of teams. Like Jokic say 34, 11, and 5, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, right? Think about how much he has the ball in 35 minutes. And he actually had a game winner that Jaren Jackson Jr. went up to contest, smacked him right in the middle of the arm. Like as Jokic is fading away, he smacks him bang on the arm. No call. And then they lose by 2 points. But, Jokic is so good. And if Michael Porter Jr. starts hitting his shots, this team can push for 50 wins. They just need to figure out the bench.
Yeah.
Also, JaMychal Green just like rolled his ankle at some point. He's completely fine, but rolled his ankle. Michael Malone's like, okay, the backup center's done. I need to quickly pull someone in. He pulls in Jeff Green instead of Bol, which I was just like, man, Bol cannot get a run anywhere.
Yeah, the fans wouldn't have been happy about that.
I mean, it was in Memphis, so they're pretty...
You don't think the Memphis fans want to see Bol?
I mean, I'm sure they'd love to see Bol if John Morant's going off. But it's like, at some point, do you just get rid of Bol, man? Because you're not going to play him. Like, just do it for the kid at this point.
Yeah.
Who wants to get an opportunity. I don't care what he looks like in the Windy City Bulls. Dante, what's your next point?
I want to talk about the Lakers next, and specifically Russell Westbrook. Not necessarily for right now, but for when the games actually start to matter. LeBron, we know, is going to have the ball. And LeBron, I think, has done a really good job in the early season of making it a point to let Russ have the ball and run the offense, and we're gonna allow you to facilitate. And Russ has been really good facilitating. He's been making things happen. But once LeBron has the ball down the stretch in important games, and he's not going to give it up. He's not going to say there's 4 minutes left. We're down by 5. I'm going to let Russ have this just for his confidence. No, LeBron's got the ball. Russ is going to need to figure out a way over the course of the season to actually contribute in that setting, because at the moment he's not really doing anything without the ball in his hand. He's not actually doing heaps with the ball in his hands. And I'm obviously we're 9 games in, we're 10 games in. The Lakers are 5-3, they're 8 games in. So we're 10th of the way through. There's a long way to go before they need to figure this out. But early signs are not super promising in many of the ways that we talked about all through the offseason, and many of the most predictable ways, because Westbrook can't shoot. It's done. There's no longer any discussion. He's a terrible shooter.
But when he makes it, he yells.
Yeah, well, sick. Rock. Yeah,
But so do I.
He made a jump shot and rocked the baby on Devin Booker a couple weeks ago. And I was like, all right, sick. Have fun with your 7 of 23.
Yeah. He made a wide open corner shot against Houston, and then just stuck up the 3 fingers and was just yelling at Kevin Porter Jr. And it's Kevin Porter Jr. was under the paint to get the rebound. That's how far he's thinking about not contesting you.
Yeah. We're in year 6 of him being just the worst shooter in the league who takes more than a couple a game.
Ever since Draymond stopped taking them.
What? Well, that's a whole other kettle of fish. So he's obviously not giving you anything away from the ball in that way. So he's going to have to screen. He's going to have to cut. He's shooting really poorly at the rim, which, we're talking about players who can't shoot and they're aging players. What's the warning signs for when their players going to drop off? And it's you can't shoot and you're not getting to the rim, you're not finishing at the rim. He's shooting the lowest amount of free throws per game that he ever has. His rim finishing is really, really way down as well. Partially because when he drives, he's driving into traffic. He's just getting in there with no plan and going up against size, and it's just he's flinging these really ugly shots. So I feel like one solution is to get him, working as a cutter. I mean, the obvious comparison is looking at Dwayne Wade, in Miami. Lots and lots of off the ball stuff for Dwayne Wade to get him easy looks. Maybe Westbrook's going to have a better time finishing at the rim if he doesn't have to beat the 3 players he's deliberately driven into, and he can cut baseline and get a dunk.
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade was already a great cutter when LeBron got there, and Russell Westbrook has never been. He's never had anything off the ball in his game ever. Like that's even young Russell Westbrook was just standing around waiting to get the ball when KD had it. There's nothing really going on off the ball. So in his 15th season or 13th season, like, can you teach an old dog new tricks? I don't know, but they're gonna have to figure it out because LeBron's gonna have the ball. He's not having the ball in crunch time, and there's no way teams are defending him if he's not doing something. Anyway, that's my little Russ rant.
Yeah. Also, Russ driving into 3 defenders also because they're starting the game with DeAndre Jordan at center and Dwight Howard's still playing his 15 minutes a game. So if you're gonna have Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, or maybe LeBron in that Anthony Davis spot, you're gonna have at least 2 defenders right in the paint, and then Russell Westbrook, at this stage in his career, his best would be in that Houston team 2 years ago, where you've got Robert Covington at the 5, you've got all these shooters around, and it's even then they couldn't do it because they actually weren't that good of a team. Well,
he was good though when they after the Rockets traded Capella and they just kind of did the whole inversion thing, and we're gonna play. They say they're playing 5 out so he can attack. They're really playing 4 out, and he's the one in. Yeah. But a bit more space, maybe those numbers start to come up. But
they did. Remember, there was that was that 1 month where he was good, and then injuries got in the way, and then
he was the end of that season. He was genuinely.
Well, I'm thinking the end as in the playoffs. It did.
So, well, I mean, but they played the Lakers in that. That they played the LeBron championship Lakers. So that's fair enough that you got eviscerated.
Yeah, but that's the best case scenario for Russ right now, and it's you're never going to get that with this Lakers team because the one center they're going to have, Anthony Davis, you probably want him near the ring, right? So you're just never going to get that. So it's I criticized this the day it happened, and I still criticize it now. And it's even if Russ is the screener and he's the cutter, and Dwayne Wade 2.0, and I remember seeing LeBron was dribbling. He ran past a Russ screen. He bounced past it through the 2 defenders. Russ got it at the free throw line, and then he lobbed it up to Anthony Davis. And it looked just like this one thing I saw where it was Steve Nash dribbling past the Dwight Howard screen. He passed it to Dwight, and then Dwight threw it up for the other way around, Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol threw it up to Dwight for a lob, and everyone's oh, clip that. This is it. This is the Lakers. This is what they're going to be. And it's you've got all these names: Pau Gasol, Dwight Howard, Steve Nash. It's it seems a little bit like that, and that team didn't go far because
of injuries.
Yeah,
I think that Nash's back betrayed him as soon as he got there.
Definitely, but
yeah, I mean,
the Lakers get the stars. Sometimes they don't work.
Yeah, the calculation here is that they would be able to figure out a way to use Russ, and it's possible that calculation is going to be a miscalculation because. He's not Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was amazing with LeBron because he was ready to say, I'm going to invest myself in figuring out how to play around you. But B, he was like I said before, he was an elite off-ball player. He was never a dude who was, relying on a jump shot to begin with. He was a scoring champion without much of a jump shot.
Yeah.
Slashing, attacking off closeouts and stuff. Russ can't attack off a closeout because no one's closing out to him. Mm-hmm. So, and the fact that him being the worst shooter probably in NBA history has never stopped him from shooting.
Have you seen his free throw percentage?
Yeah, he's shooting 50% from the free throw line. He's taking just as many shots as he ever has. Not ever, but it's normal. His shots are right in line with his career average, and he's shooting 20% from 3 on 4 attempts a game. It's well, you know what, Russell? That's not going to cut it.
Yeah.
I'm obviously really apprehensive about whether they'll be able to figure this all out. I do want to just say again that it is really early, and they've got 70 games before they have to figure it out. But it's not hard for me to envision a situation in which they're playing 4-on-5 at the end of the, and what are the options? You either like don't involve Russ and he just stands in the corner and no one defends him, or you do involve Russ and you know that if you put 2 defenders, near the rim, what's going to happen? I don't know.
Yeah, and as soon as you involve Russ, you got 2 defenders, but also the ball's not in LeBron's hands.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, LeBron's been shooting the hell out of it, but
you
don't want LeBron being a jump shooter. No,
you don't want him running off screens.
No, exactly.
All right, well, that's what's that called? Can't believe I've been doing it for a year. Is what we're liking and what we're not.
Nah, just don't.
Nah, go.
Nah, it was what's good and what's not.
What's good and what's
not. But last year we did it as like a whole thing, and it was like we're going to bring in like something that is good, something that's not good, like this and that.
See, I brought in 2 things that I think are good, but no aren't.
Yeah, no, it's good. Isn't it?
LP and busy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's keep doing that then. I guess if it's a thing. No. We haven't been doing it for like a year, but we did it as like the second week of the season, like last season. I was conceiving of it as like something that we would like do as like an annual thing, but then you were like, nah, and I was like, oh, okay. I guess not then. I never liked it anyway. Okay. Well, that's all good then. Well, just on the closing, by the time you're listening to this, or not long after you do listen to it, a friend of the pod, Alessio Conte's article will be live. He's talking about how far Ja Morant can take the Memphis Grizzlies, and a few questions in there, and a few. I'll just save it for the article. Read it. It was a very good read. Aless, obviously a Kings fan, De'Aaron Fox fan. Is Ja everything we thought De'Aaron Fox was going to be? That's not what the article is about, but it's a bit of food for thought. The article is really wonderful though, and as Sean said, it will be live by the time you listen to this or shortly after. So head to thedeep2.com. What was that URL again?
I can't believe it's that simple. Thedeep2.com.
Thedeep2.com.
Wow, we really knocked it out of the park with that one. Head to thedeep2.com to read Alessa's article.
Well, that's all from us. I'm not going to say that final point. It's too cringe. So I'll talk to you next time. Peace. If you look for PointsBet's stock exchange listing, you'll find a bucket of jargon and doublespeak as they're considered a, quote, wagering services operator, unquote. That's a corporate stretch for the colloquial friendly brogan or, hey, look, it's Chris Bosh kind of image they're sending off with their targeted advertising. I don't know about you, but take me back to the days when former pro sports players signed brand deals with hair loss clinics or Fujitsu aircons, not, quote, wagering service providers.
If you're scrolling through your Facebook feed and you come across the 2 of our faces morphed into one, would that make you listen to our podcast more? I mean, if it does, let us know and we'll start doing it. But when I see a few NBA players' faces morphed into one, it doesn't make me want to pull out my wallet and donate some money to my local wagering services provider.
The worst part is we're coming to accept it. Wagering service provider ads are so ingrained in our sports, and the way sports is delivered to us, it's almost impossible to avoid. 3/4 of Australian children aged between 8 and 16 years who watch sport think that betting on sport is normal and can name one or more sport betting companies. When I was in school, I was struggling to remember Pokemon names, and I'd be furious if I knew that brainpower was being used to put towards wagering service providers and not them.
The wagering service providers know exactly who to target. It's not okay to let them ingrain themselves in young Australians' minds. It's not okay to target people in the middle of a pandemic, and it's not okay for gambling companies to wield so much influence in the world of sports. To help kick gambling out of sport, use your voice and sign the petition at www.endgamblingads.org.au/petition.